thought that you could sense that with your Peter tingle.
Please stop saying tingle, May.
Welcome. You're back today with R&R Reviews Unscripted. You're here with me and my brother, who are just a couple of cinephiles, and we're going to tell you why we feel the way we do about our movie reviews.
Yeah.
Yes, master.
Today's subject is going to be Spider-Man 2. The Amazing Spider-Man 2. No, Spider-Man Far From Home.
Alert! This movie just came out. If you haven't seen it yet, don't listen any further. We are going to give massive spoilers about all of the secret Easter eggs and everything within the film. So stop listening. If you check out our Facebook page, R&R Reviews, you'll see that we gave Spider-Man Far From Home an overall rating of 5.9 out of 10 points.
And we'd like to remind everyone again today that we recognize 4 as the average here because we don't want it to be 5, because then we're just like everybody else.
Everybody else, yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes, master.
So we see this as a pretty good movie.
Pretty good. So in case you didn't know, me and my brother are pretty big geeks, and we are big fans of the MCU. However, we try to come at these and tackle them with a purely objective view. And I think that this score is pretty honest in saying what it is.
And we mean the movie score, not the music score.
Yes.
Yes, master.
Yes, apparently needs to be stated.
Right.
Right. So let's jump right into this thing, okay? We're coming into Spider-Man Far From Home. Everybody has high expectations. We have the first movie since the end of Endgame, and we're hoping for some clarity. We're hoping for some new stuff. We're interested to see, how does the Marvel Universe work now that Iron Man is actually dead?
We want closure.
We want closure. And I will say the film kicks it off pretty well.
I gotta say, at the very beginning, when the marching band comes back in the middle of the basketball game, was probably one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, I will say they handled that so well, because at the end of Endgame, that was everybody's question. You know, all these kids just come back, and there's a 5.5-year gap difference. But in this, they referenced it. It's referred to as the blip. They talked about it. They dealt with the issues between the age differences and where the kids stand now, and the loss of everything that they've had in their lives because they've been gone for 5 years.
Something that I really appreciated about this film was something that Stan Lee wanted himself, and that was he wanted heroes to be humanized so that we could, level with them where we're at, as in people who don't have superpowers. So I really appreciate how serious this movie was on the humanizing side of things. It was very emotional watching Peter struggle, trying to deal with it. I mean, it's a superhero movie, yeah, but this is just another coming-of-age movie.
This really is a coming-of-age story, and it's a pretty good one, if I might say. In the earlier films, all Spider-Man wanted was to be an Avenger, and now all Spider-Man really wants is to be a kid, to hang out with his friends, to meet a girl that he likes and tell her about how he feels, to, move through these portions of his teenage years that he's not going to get back.
Right.
Meanwhile, Nick Fury is just being a real douchebag and wants him to, and will not leave him alone.
And it turns out it wasn't even Nick, so maybe that's why he was so extra harsh.
Ooh, yes. So the post-credits scenes, huh? We're jumping straight to that. That was pretty good. So one of the post-credit scenes does fall at the very, very end, if you haven't seen it. And turns out that Colby Schmulders and Samuel Jackson are both actually Skrulls. Samuel Jackson is actually out in space with the Skrulls on some sort of ship.
And he doesn't have any shoes.
Not to mention the other post-credit scene where Mysterio says Spider-Man's name over every TV in the world, basically, it seems like.
Right, and I feel like this is kind of a play on the Iron Man thing, because of the end of the first Iron Man movie, Tony Stark's like, I am Iron Man. So good. Anyways, I feel like it's a play on that, because at the end of the first Spider-Man, Aunt May walks in, sees him in his Spider-Man outfit and is like, what the beep? And then in this one, now everyone finds out he's Spider-Man, and right as it gets to the end, Peter Parker says, what the beep? And I feel like it's just kind of a callback to Iron Man.
Definitely. I definitely didn't even put that connection together till you just said that, but that's pretty cool. Considering how they're setting him up in the next phase, you definitely see a handoff to where Spider-Man is going to become our new Iron Man. That line is even stated throughout the film several times.
Right, and that's not even the best part of this after credit scene, because they got J.K. Simmons to come back and be J. Jonah freaking Jameson. I want pictures of Spider-Man!
I want Spider-Man!
I mean, if there was anything that J.K. Simmons was born for, it was literally to play this role.
Right. And this guy is even an Oscar winner, but what we love him for is being J. Jonah Jameson.
I mean, literally. The only thing is now he's a little more bald, so he doesn't have the hair anymore that he used to have.
Right.
but I mean, he looks and sounds just like him.
Definitely.
So, one of the bigger points, obviously, Mysterio is not a good guy. I think we all knew that was coming from the moment we saw the trailer when they teased the multiverse, which is interesting that they teased that considering all that just happened with Sony's, Into the Spider-Verse film. But there is no multiverse at this point. I'm assuming there will be in the future. But Mysterio is simply a fake. He used to work for Tony Stark, along with several others, and they're basically disgruntled Tony Stark workers that are angry and they're mad because they did all the work and all the thought behind it and he took all the credit.
And they're basically just putting on a really good live TV show.
Exactly. Every battle, every bit of it is animated, it's CGI. They use drones to power all of that. It's completely fake. Every bit of it.
And I gotta say, one reason why I gave the plot for this film such a low rating is because I could have literally told you step by step everything that was going to happen throughout the entire movie just from the previews.
I hear you there. I hear you. You did give the story a very low rating, and I could see that. I mean, it can be predictable at points. It's hard at this late into the universe and this late into superhero movies to really do something that surprises you, if I'm being honest. But it definitely was mediocre in that area.
I do gotta say that something that really takes the cake for me was Mysterio, and not necessarily Jake Gyllenhaal's performance of him, because I do feel that almost probably anybody could have played that role that slightly looks like Robert Downey Jr. with a beard. I feel like just the way they portrayed him in the movie, it was so perfect, and a lot of the perfectness was animated scenes anyway, so it wasn't Jake Gyllenhaal. Just the way they did him, though, it was like watching an old video game on the movie.
Yes.
Yes, master.
There's a couple scenes where Spider-Man is just stuck in Mysterio's illusion, and it was awesome.
It was great.
I mean, just that was probably the best 5 minutes of the entire film, in my opinion. Just watching that take place was so cool.
Agreed. I really appreciated some of Spider-Man's action sequences as well, where he's flipping through this and swinging over that and rolling around this and webbing up that, and like at some points he's just got webs like coming from everywhere and he's tangling up this and he looks like a legit spider, like with all these webs that are coming out of him and the way he's like wind them up, and all of a sudden it's just here and there, and I was like, Charlotte, is that you?
I have to say, out of all the sequels to Spider-Man I've ever seen, this one was more exciting to me, and I was more pleased with this one than I have been with any of them. This is as far as the second installment of Spider-Man ever got. The first installment with Tobey Maguire, I will say that the sequel was definitely my least favorite of the three. After all the adaptation of Spider-Man that we've seen, I feel like Marvel has completely satisfied what we've been looking for. They give us the smart, intellectual, yet funny kid that we've desired to see. And we get to see this handoff of Tony Stark's technology to him. And there's one scene when he's with Happy. They're getting ready to head out to face the villain, and he's creating a new suit, and he's basically going through the technology and telling it what to do, and it's literally like watching Iron Man stand there and do it. And you get to kind of see this handoff to the next generation of what is to come with Phase 4 and moving forward with the MCU. All right, guys, well, that's all the time we have today. Once again, you're here with me and my brother Nick, just a couple cinephiles on here trying to make sense of all the things we say. Don't forget to check out our Facebook page, R&R Reviews, our YouTube page, R&R Reviews. Make sure you subscribe to that, or you can always hit us up by email at rogerscinemahood@gmail.com. That's ROGERSCINEMAHOOD@gmail.com. You can send us comments about what you think about what we're saying, what we're putting out there. You can also recommend movies you'd like to see us review, and so forth. But that's all the time we have today. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
And remember, it's a beautiful day in the cinema hood.
Could you pay me in advance?
You serious?